All we have to go on regarding these new floating landmasses of Heavensward thus far is a handful of screenshots and a single reference by Dazul Kalan to his Terra Sacra, Ayatlan. Or so everybody thinks. Flying islands are, of course, a common trope across Square Enix's franchises and the fantasy genre in general, and we can expect to see a whole lot of fan service in Heavensward with reference to previous Final Fantasy titles. I would be amiss not to mention that, but that whole field is common knowledge already covered by other commentators and readily available on different Final Fantasy wikis. If someone in the comments wants a refresher on each instance of floating islands across the Final Fantasy series, I'll happily oblige, but for today I mean to go a step further and look outside into the illusions and influences of the franchise for clues. I decided that the Domans, being represented in part by the new and unique revealed race of Al-Ra, which is being made available and prominent along with the release of Heavensward, might offer us a good place to start. It has been noted by several commentators already that the Al-Ra are particularly draconic in appearance, and that despite coming from Orthard, the continent to the east of Aeolia, specifically Doma, the principality of the Gallian Empire's western borders, it is probably no coincidence that they are appearing with the expansion and that they perhaps have some connection with Ayatlan. Well, I can do you better. I believe I have found some concrete evidence for this. There are two references currently in Final Fantasy XIV to an Aeolia. The first is the ninja action Aeolian Edge. Ninja is in the Final Fantasy XIV universe, as we know, a Doman tradition, so anyone who has given much thought to Aeolian Edge by now has probably shrugged it off as a Doman reference, or perhaps the localization team trying to think of a windy name for something to combo off of Gust Slash. Similarly, the item Aeolian Scimitar is clearly of the same origin, being made from a blunt Aeolian scimitar that can be obtained from a handful of different blacksmith leave quests or from the Wanderer's Palace, presumably some old artifact from a bygone Doman adventurer or such. I'm surprised and a little embarrassed that this connection didn't occur to me before now, but Aeolia is actually a reference to a Mediterranean volcanic archipelago of the same name in the Tyrrhenian Sea north of Sicily. Aeolia is itself a romanization of Aeolios, a name that recurs in Greek myth a few times for, wait for it, a floating island. In fact, we should properly refer to Aeolios as the floating island, given that it is the very first literary instance of a now common and massively popular fantasy trope. By Aeolia's reference in a ninja action, a Doman martial tradition, I think we can establish a clear connection from the Domans and particularly the Al-Ra, at the very least the same kind of mythological relationship to an Aeolia that the Ixali have to Ayatlan. Whether or not they are two different names for exactly the same place, we'll see, but there is no doubt in my mind that Aeolia will be a geographical feature, specifically a flying geographical feature in Heavensward, and will have some direct connection to the Al-Ra. With that established, and given that this Aeolia is such a direct and transparent reference to the Greek Aeolios, I'm confident that there will be themes and features we can infer, or at least speculate, from the Greek literature. We'll start with a refresher from Book 10 of the Odyssey, as my copy here translated by E.V. Ryu. Our next landfall was the floating island of Aeolia, the home of Aeolus, son of Hippotas, who is a favorite of the immortal gods. All round this isle there runs an unbroken wall of bronze, and below it the cliffs rise sheer from the sea. Aeolus shares his house with his family of 12, 6 daughters and 6 grown-up sons, and I must tell you that he has given his daughters to his sons in marriage. With their father and their estimable mother, they spend their days in feasting. Of luxuries that they have a never-failing store. All day long the house is fragrant with the roasting of meat, and the courtyard echoes to the sounds of banqueting within. At night they sleep in blankets by their loving wives on well-made wooden beds. To this domain of theirs, and this palatial home we found our way. For a full month, Aeolus was my kind host, and I was able to satisfy his thirst for news by giving him a full account of the Argive expedition to Ilium, and the Eschian start from home. Nor was he less obliging when it came to my turn, and I asked him whether I might now continue my journey and count on his help. He gave it willingly, and presented me with a leather bag made from the flayed skin of a full-grown ox in which he had imprisoned the boisterous energies of all the winds. You must know that Zeus had made him warden of the gales, with power to lay or rouse them each at will, This pouch he stowed in the hold of my ship, securing it tightly with a burnished silver wire so as to prevent the slightest leakage. Then, for my present purpose, he called up a breeze from the west to blow my ships and their crews across the sea. But his measures were doomed to failure. We came to grief through our own criminal folly. So this patriarch of Aeolia, Aeolos, given by some accounts to be the son of Hippotes and by others as the son of Poseidon, is the divine keeper of the winds, literally holding the personification of every wind of every cardinal direction, gentle or strong, the more dangerous of which were kept within a sealed cave to be released or contained in turn of the direction of the Olympian gods. I will mention that Aeolia and Aeolos also feature in Virgil's Aeneid, and that Juno parleys with Aeolos to lend a favourable wind to Aeneas. Someone will probably roast me if I don't mention that, but it doesn't really tell us anything that we haven't just established. So here's a fun dungeon scenario for you. The Vanu, their holdings already under pressure on two sides from the Nath and the Dragons respectively, notice the trickle of Aeolosian airships start to more closely resemble a fleet, beginning to annex increasingly more land and rush to the ancient sealed cavern of Anemoi, intending to release the Anemoi Taiale, tempest wind demons, and harpies to literally blow the Aeolosians out of the sky. Send the adventurers into the cave, let them battle the fiery hot south wind, Notus, the devouring cold wind, Boreas, the dark northeast wind, Caecius, bringing blinding dust. You've got half a patch right there. Yoshida, if you're not working on this one yet, you can have it. I'll send you an invoice later. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Tomorrow we'll be continuing to pull at this thread of classic representations of flying islands in reference to the incoming raid Alexander, deity of the Gobbies. So go ahead and take 3 seconds to subscribe for that. If you like where this series has been going so far, otherwise like, comment, give me some feedback. I'm always really stoked to hear your suggestions and opinions, but for now, I've been Ethis. It's only 20 Malms to Aeolia, and I will see you there.